everybody. Welcome to Find Out More Friday. Today's subject is SuperOffice forms. So I'm going to give us a brief overview of what forms are about, where they are, and what they can be used for. Okay, so as standard within SuperOffice, we all know the menu bar is down the left-hand side. In marketing, we have a couple of elements in here. We have the email templates, we have our image management, and we have forms. So what are forms? Forms are the ability to present a question and answer session. Actually, the ability as well to be able to present data that you want people to check and also to ask questions. A form can be used in many places. So a form can be used on an email. So you might want to send out something like an account application form. So you can create that form. You can put the link to that form into an email, probably an email template, and then you can send it via SuperOffice, whether it be just as a simple email or as a mail shot, and send that form to anybody to complete. You can also use forms in your website. And I'm going to show you a couple of examples on Synergy's websites in a moment for forms. You could also use forms as part of a Q&A. So for instance, if you were to ask somebody for their opinion on something, instead of sending them an email saying, what do you think? You could send them a link to a form which has preset questions that can either be answered in text, drop-down boxes, numeric boxes, etc. And I'll show you all that in a moment. So if we look at an example of forms before I actually start building them, I'm going to jump over to Synergy Technologies website. So hopefully everybody can see that. On Synergy Technologies website, we use forms. We use forms quite extensively. Now, one of the frustrating things when I do consultancy for clients is talking to clients who possibly have got forms on their website that send an email into the business for somebody to then pick up to rekey that data and do something with it. So with forms, we can automate those processes, and we can also introduce what we call workflow. So you're in a situation where if somebody fills in a form, not only will it come into the business prepared and ready to go into SuperOffice, but you can also have actions from that. So for instance, this email us form here on the Synergy website, which asks some preset questions, and then we have a submit request button. When that gets submitted, we send a text message to somebody in the business to notify them that somebody's completed it. We might also create a case or a request for help or assistance. So a lot of things can be done. Really, it's down to your imagination, but a lot of things can be done with a form to trigger actions. But a form isn't just a simple form like this, which is absolutely imperative for most websites for inquiries. But we could also have a form, for instance, here, the contact us page. So we can have a scroll out form. So again, this form takes exactly the same process as this form, but this form stays consistent. So as I scroll down the page, that contact us doesn't move. So it's always there. Now you might want that on the top or to the right or even to the bottom. It doesn't matter. You can place that button wherever you want. You can color it, you can size it, you can word it as needed. And that form will stay consistent on your website as you scroll. So another example of a form is if I come down on our website to email us. So I click on email us. And everybody who works with Synergy knows we use what we sell. It's very important to us as a principle for the business. So again, we use forms extensively through the website. So here's another form where I can fill in information and I could submit a request. Okay, and it doesn't matter where you go in the Synergy website and the different sections, we've always got these email us forms and these contact us forms that are available for any user visiting our website to send information through. So let's look at how we do that. So I'm going back into SuperOffice. We have the heading here, forms. When you go into forms, it will always show you the most recent. So I'm in a demonstration system here, and I've got some forms that I've created before. I'm going to ignore those for now. and I'm going to create a brand new form with you. Now, when you create forms, and I'm going to go here to all forms, what I would suggest is you create directories for your different forms. So for instance, your ones that are in development or your ones that are live. If you're running multiple websites, create a directory for each of the websites, just so you can keep a track on those forms, which ones belong to which element of which website. So I'm going to create a new form. So I'm just going back a step there. And I'm going to create a brand new form. Now the form is here, create new. I need to give the form a name. So in this particular one, I'm going to say Found Out More Friday. Now I can select which folder it sits in. So for instance, I could have this in form development. Then I have a description for the form, okay? And I want to ask customer information. Okay, so it's a simple description just to remind you what it is. If you're running multiple languages, you can decide here which form is in which language. So you could have a form in French, a form in German, a form in English. And you can also say who it's managed by. So this one I'm going to say is managed by the sales department. We have a great little bit of functionality here called the deactivate form automatically. So what you can do is you could put a form in and say this form is live until this date, and then the form will retire. Or you can say max. So if you're doing, let's say you're running a stand or a seminar, you could say here the maximum people that can attend this seminar are 20. Then what the system will do is every time a form is submitted, it will automatically count that up until it gets to 20, and then it will say that it's full. So that's really useful. The other thing that we can do for the more web knowledgeable people is we can also embed Google Analytics into our forms. This is good for web tracking what people are doing. You simply tick that and then put your Google Analytics tracking ID in here. The system does the rest. So I'm not going to use any of those for today. I'm going to go to fields. So we get a representation on the right-hand side of the form. And then here in the fields element, we can fill in the fields. I'll draw your attention to one thing. It does say in the corner here, powered by SuperOffice. If that offends anybody or anybody doesn't want that on there, there is a function that our software support team can undertake, which switches that off. So I've got what fields do I want to display, and we can see it here, and we can see that we've got an OK button. So I'm going to add in, so I've got contact name, I'm going to say plus. We have 3 different types of fields that we can add. So we have SuperOffice elements. So this is actual data that can exist in SuperOffice. So we're asking it to put it in SuperOffice. Then we have form elements. Now the form elements, as opposed to the SuperOffice elements, are blank fields. So it's a text box, it's a radio button. A radio button is where, of course, we've got that little radio button of yes, no, or yes, no, maybe. We've got a checkbox, a tick box. We've got a drop-down box, so we can present a list of options. We've got a hidden box. Now, hidden boxes are very useful for programmers, not so useful for other people, because if it's hidden, you can't see it. We have a date box. We have an integer. We have an upload file option. Now that's really useful if, let's say we're doing a credit application form and it says, please upload your latest accounts. So we can do an upload button so people can upload into the system the latest set of accounts. A rating. This is great for customer service. We've just done a job for you. How do you rate us? 1 to 5. We can put dice in there. We can put different things in there, different visual effects to say how we're doing. I think quite an important one in today's day, we have Google reCAPTCHA. Now, Google reCAPTCHA means, and you'll have seen this on a lot of websites and inquiry forms, it means if somebody's putting an automatic robot on the web to fill in your form, the reCAPTCHA tries its best to validate, is the word I'm looking for, to validate that the user is actually human. So it's going to show you pictures or numbers to retype in order for you to submit the form. So you're making sure that rubbish isn't coming through. And then we have, of course, different to integer there, we have decimal. So instead of a whole integer, we can have a decimal figure, which can be useful again. Then we have a view element. Now, a view element is not an import. That is purely for display purposes. So a section, so we can break the form into sections with lines. An image, so we can put the company logo on. Or a text block, which is explaining what we do. So I'll show some of these in a moment. So what I'm going to do is go back to SuperOffice Elements. And I'm going to ask now, we know that name's already on there, but I'm going to ask for the company name. So simply by clicking it, the company name appears. I'm now going to ask for an email address. And I'm simply adding all of the elements I want. Okay, and I'm going to ask for a contacts mobile. So what have we got? Let's have a look now. So we've got the contact name, the first name, the surname. We've got the company name. We've got the contact email, the company phone. Now, me being me, and I'm quite fastidious with these things, I'd like the company phone number to be below company, but the contact's email and contact's mobile to be below the contact. So I simply pick it up and drag. Notice while I'm doing this, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that on the right-hand side, we've got an actual visual representation of what's just happened. So let's look at the OK button. So OK is what I say. I don't want it to be OK. I think OK looks a little bland. So I'm going to put here, submit. And I want to center that because I'm maybe slightly awkward. And I want to make it wide. So it's the same width as the rest of the form. But now I want the background color to be something a little different. I'm going to pick white text and then a background of orange. So do you see there now, we've got the contact name, the contact email, the mobile, the company name, and the company phone number with a very bright submit button. Now you could say submit form. It really doesn't matter. It's down to you as the design person, as the person wanting to solve a problem, because that's what forms are for, to solve problems, to actually complete this design. So I've simply put together how it looks. So now let's go and add one more thing in. And I'm doing this off cuff, so I've not prepped whether I can bring in a graphic, but I'm going to try and find one. Let's see what we've got. There's an image there. I'm going to move the image to the top. So at the very top there, and I'm going to say I want to center it. And I'm going to pick one of my images, a very simple image. Let's have, we'll keep it simple so I don't make a mess. There we go. And the image is now live. Okay, so I've now got an image, which could be a logo, contact information, company information, and submit. So what I'm going to do is step down to one more field in here. I'm going to press plus. I'm going to do a form view again, and I'm going to put a text block in. Now, again, we've got to be careful where we put this. So I'm going to go down one, so it's below the image. And I'm going to put in, hello, please complete this form. Very simple, just to guide anybody, but notice it's building it as we see it on the right-hand side. So I've now got all the fields that I need for my form. So I'm going to go down to the next one now, which is the style. So click on style. Now, here we can have a rounded box. So you can see they're rounded. We can have the fields above. I might want to put the fields to the left of. See how the whole design has changed now? I might want to create two columns, not one column. So I can press 2 and it creates 2 columns. Notice it's always trying to build it as I'm doing it. I can now change things like my field borders, my backgrounds. I can change my fonts, my size, lots of information to do with the style. I also have the option here, if you're business to consumer business, that I can enable opt-in. So when I fill in a form, and it might be a contact us form or a product information form or a product request, you can enable double opt-in, which allows the system to send it an email to say, are you sure you want to opt in order that you can comply with GDPR? That's more business to consumer, of course, than business to business. I can then design, and I won't go through all of these details because of the time, but you can put a thank you page in. So I can design what the system shows when I complete the form, which is hopefully, thank you for completing the information. We'll be back to you shortly. I can do a page for an active form. So in the event that SuperOffice is down, being upgraded, the servers are off, we can put an inactive form in there that makes sure the customer knows that the system currently can't take the data, and that if they want to phone us possibly, here's the number. Then I have actions. Actions are the result of filling in the form and pressing submit. So without going into too much depth, and we'll cover this on another Find Out More Friday, hopefully, we can say notify of a submission by creating a request. We can decide whether we automatically or manually process the form. We can decide if we add those people to a selection or to a project, whether we tick an interest. So if somebody is inquiring about a particular product, if they fill in that inquiry form, tick that box of interest in order that we can market more information about that product to that person. Send an email response when they've filled in a form. Send them an email confirming the data they've shared with you. Undertake a script. Set a default category or business type or our contact when you process that form if it doesn't exist in SuperOffice already. And then, of course, we have an option here, do not create contact without contact fields. So making sure that there are the relevant contact fields in place. So once we've done all of that, we have created our form. And at any point, we can go back and see what it's going to look like. I can press save. That form is now created and ready to rock. Simply to make this form active, I click the active button. I now have the three options here of where I place my form. So I've got my summary here of how many people have filled in the form, and I have the publish button. I can publish a direct link. There it is. Just by pressing the two boxes at the end, I can copy it. I can give that to my web designer and they can place that on my web page. I can do what they call an embedded inline form, which is, again, is a way of embedding on a website or within an email. I can embed as a pop-up. So something that isn't just a form that's continually displayed, but a button that when you press it, it pops up a form. And then I can have my side form. Do you remember on the Synergy website I showed earlier, it was to the left? I here can choose whether it's to the left, to the right. I can choose what the wording is on the form, press here, select here, contact us, and the relevant colors. Again, on all of these four options, I'm being displayed at the top here, the code that I need to share, either internally with my web people or my marketing people, or externally with my web designers. And this is allowing me then to publish those forms. I then have reports, so I know where I'm up to with those forms, if there's any been submitted, and an overview of the submissions. So that form is now active on our demonstration system, ready to be placed onto a website. Now, as you can see, using a very small window, I've given you a quick overview. There's a lot more to this in the design and the options and what you can do with it and the automation. But if you've got people filling in forms on your websites or on emails and sending them in as emails to your business for people to then forget about, ignore, rekey, do things with that are not automated, then get SuperOffice Forms, get it active and start working with it, because this will give you lots of functionality that you currently don't have. Thank you very much for listening to Find Out More Friday from Synergy Technology.